tuning in. This is business class derivative. We don't use the 101 functions here. This is business class derivative, and today's topic is how to prepare your taxes, how to complete your taxes, how to get your taxes done properly so that you are not found owing or needing to pay the government any funding, especially the government that is in running right now. You don't want to be owing them any funding, especially if they are not for you, if they haven't done anything to help you. You really don't want to make you really don't want to owe them any type of funding when it comes to doing your taxes. You want to make sure that you have all of your everything covered basically to make sure that you do not owe, which is where you would now get a financier in order to check your background, make sure that your bills are all paid up, your bills are all caught up, so that they are not able to use any type of billing to say you owe money on this bill, that bill, or whatever bill in order to say you need to pay that in order for us to release any tax refund to you. And that is actually very illegal as well for a government to withhold funding from you after you have paid your portion to the entity that you have paid your portion to, which mine is HSN, because I get my funding through the HSN system. So, you want to make sure that you have someone who knows your money. You want to make sure you have someone who knows your spending. You want to make sure you have someone who knows everything about you so that if a government in charge that has not been also very kind to you is not able to say that you owe them any money, because that is how they riddle the middleman and the poor class into paying more in taxes, such as land transfer tax, is because they do not have your best luck in favor. So yes, that house, when it comes to purchasing that house, looks very affordable, but in the long run, in the first 3 years, is that government gonna come back and say to you, we gave it to you for cheap then because we wanted to make sure that you were able to pay us back when you did your first round of land transfer tax, to make sure that you don't receive any money by saying that you owe us. So, you don't want to falter in any of that. So, we're going to talk about taxes, but let me touch on property for a minute. One of the best things to do is to actually own the property before you do any renovations. Therefore, you will not owe the in government at the time, which right now it's the liberals, but not for long. We know this because we know of the downfall that's happening with the liberals. You don't want to owe them any money. So one of the things I suggest for you to do before you do any home renovations after you've purchased the home is pay off the number one, pay off the land transfer tax first, then pay off the mortgage first. Land transfer tax will lessen the water rates in the home. That's number one. Each time you pay off the land transfer tax, that's attached to the billing of the water rate, and it cuts down to when you can even do your laundry, especially when it doesn't affect your water rate during the daytime in doing your laundry. So make sure that you have all of that information covered, and then you can go and do your personal taxes, where you get your spending money from your personal taxes in order to go on that boat cruise vacation. So when it comes to doing your taxes, make sure that when you're a homeowner, the first thing you do off your land transfer tax, and the next thing that you do is pay off your mortgage so that that stuff does not touch neither the water bill, because that's why it's called a land transfer tax. If you miss a month in payment, it will envelope itself in either the water bill or the electricity bill, therefore enveloping the price to be more. So make sure you pay off your land transfer tax first, and then the property becomes yours. Therefore, you can put wiring security in the home on the property because you paid off the land transfer tax first. And then you work on paying off the mortgage. And therefore, you won't have to pay for any extra security measures because you've paid off the land transfer tax, and you can add security measures in the home in order to keep safe. All right, so let's get into the information about the taxes. When you've completed your taxes, you will receive a large amount in return. However, your accountant will remove a significant portion to help you to be able to stay financially afloat. And that's how I get a portion of my money. I do get a large return when I do my personal taxes, but a part of that portion is taken out by an accountant in where I get that funding monthly. And that's what you see me use when I say I bought this, and then I bought this, and I bought this. Because I don't owe anything on any land transfer tax in order to be able to buy this cup right here. Because if you owe land transfer tax, you won't be able to buy this cup right here. You might as well buy yourself a paper cup and be done. Buy yourself a paper cup if you're not paying your land transfer tax. Buy yourself a paper cup because that's when the feds can come in and say, hey, what's up? We need that money for the land because you're living on borrowed land when you haven't paid off that land transfer tax. You're living on borrowed land and you owe us money. Otherwise, it's well, bye bye, goodbye, see you later. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're putting the money to the mortgage to LeapPage, the mortgage company, but you're not paying off the government for the land transfer tax. The government can come in and take your money because LeapPage doesn't own the property. The government owns the property. So pay off the property tax first, and then you can think about paying LeapPage in much larger amounts so that the government doesn't take the house that you work so hard to earn. Now, who will benefit from this process when you do it this way? You. You're gonna benefit from it. You will receive benefits from your tax credits because now the government will have to pay you because you paid your land transfer tax and the government owes you money and you don't owe the government anything. You don't owe the government anything. The government owes you money and the government must pay you up to the full quota of $50,000 in being that of a homeowner, especially when you have paid your land transfer taxes off and you are not in debt on your land transfer tax, which means you've gained more on top of what you previously had before because the government is basically paying you for owning a home and paying off your mortgage and not doing nothing because they owe you money for cutting your own grass and keeping your property alive. They owe you money for cutting your own tree and making that your property is not an eyesore to your next door neighbor. So the government has to pay you for doing that to the property and keeping the property value of your home protected by keeping it neat. This is why it's important, if you're a Christian, a Apatardite Christian, it's important to pay your offering, because your offering then goes to the government, which then can also help you pay off your land transfer tax when the church reports you paying a certain portion of gift giving. It adds up to your land transfer tax being paid off. So you go to church, you're a Christian, pay your offering. Now let's tackle dividend paychecks. This is a form of pay that you receive when you are not able to work, such as those who receive either Ontario Works or Ontario Disability Support payments. When you receive those two, those are dividend pay, and that comes from the government in the form of you paying your offering in a church funded support way, and the church helps you to get that money at each at the end of each of every single month. So you don't need to be going to the church now in order to ask for cash. What you do when you go to the church and you ask for support is you ask for extra funding from the church in order to be able to help you purchase something that you do need. So, yes, if someone got pregnant and they're struggling a little bit financially to purchase a crib, and they're struggling to purchase a stroller because they're known to take public transportation, they can go to the church and ask the church for financial support because they have put money in by paying down their offering, and they know they do not owe any money on any land transfer tax. And that is very, very legal. Very, very legal for a supporting church member to go to the church secretary and ask for financial backing, because this member is known to pay their offering every single Sunday, at least once a month, or pay up in full in an entire year. They are allowed to go to the church secretary and ask for a portion of that gift giving through the signage of the land transfer tax with the government. Ontario Works is a small dividend paycheck. You get injured, you get fully paid the amount to be received. You get fired wrongfully, the full pay amount must also be received when you are paid by Ontario Works. Your identity is used by someone who is not you. You must be allotted the full pay, as they are trying to take finances from you by using your name illegally as the contact person in order to receive funding from out of your pocket. So that is another way that you can also receive your land transfer tax through the church, by also approaching the church secretary to say, hey, I know my name is being used out there, but you don't have to say all of that. You wait until it's necessary in order to go to the church secretary and say that I need a little bit of help, because you've gotten the clue, you've gotten the hint, you've gotten the vibe that someone, somewhere, doesn't matter where, could be globally, is using your name illegally. And that is where the church is supposed to step in and say, let's give her the finances, let's go to the government, let's step on the backbone of the government in order to stop this person from using this person's name illegally. And this is why plagiarism is also incorrect, because now I get paid funding for every time someone plagiarizes my work in a university aspect, and I get paid money for what you have copied and written and claimed to be your own work. So I can get paid both ways. I can get paid for someone using my name illegally in all formats, and I can also get paid when someone plagiarizes and uses my work, because that's also a copying of illegal identity in the form of work and vision and notification. So that is part one when it comes to getting your taxes done. Be careful. Be careful. And where does it talk about getting your taxes done in the biblical context? It talks about that in the book of Job as well as in the book of Exodus. You need to pay the government. You need to pay the government in order to make sure that if anyone out there is attacking you for any reason, you can call on the government, no problem, and the government must respond, because you do not owe the government any funding in any way, shape, or form. And they must take care of the person whom is attacking you. So you read the book of Exodus chapter 3, you'll get your information there in the form of doing your taxes. You read the book of Job in Job chapter 4, you will get your information there in the form of completing your taxes and completing it properly, starting off with, even though Job lost his money, Job still has property because Job paid off his land transfer taxes. So Job doesn't have any physical buildings, but Job has property because Job knew that it was better to have property so that he can continue to have a reason to walk where he walks. And no one can tell him where to go and what to do, because of the fact that he owns that property and he also paid off the taxes, and so did Moses in the book of Exodus. They paid off the land transfer tax so they can walk where they can walk and they can go where they can go, because they owe the government nothing to walk the streets. So, with that being said, that has been it for this biblical studies in the form of doing your taxes and how is it important to be a Christian. First of all, pay your property taxes. It allows you to be able to walk wherever you want to walk. Which means that, yes, even when you are living in a rent for paid home, the renter has to pay a paid for portion of the property taxes in order to make sure that they can go outside and walk where they walk. I.e., Kanye West, Walk Jesus Walk. If you're listening to that right now, that's the exact song. Walk Jesus Walk, Kanye West. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in next week's biblical studies. Bye bye.